TD Ryan Unleashed is brought to you by Scott Zyman, your State Farm insurance agent. Scott can help you save money bundling your home and auto insurance. Call 815-748-3101 or stop by at 2587 Sycamore Road, Suite D in DeKalb. Like a good neighbor, Scott Zyman and State Farm are there. Pizza Villa, pizza, pasta, sandwiches, and more at 824 West Lincoln Highway in DeKalb. For delivery or pickup, call 815-758-8116 or go to pizzavilla.com. My Insurance Guys in Sycamore, family owned, local, reliable. My Insurance Guys cover Medicare to auto and everything in between. Call us in Sycamore at 815-899-0950. My Insurance Guy, business, auto, home, life, and health at myinsurancegui.com. And Eldercare Services of DeKalb County, safe, secure, and supported, helping you stay at home where you want to be. Call 815-758-6550 or stop in at 1701 East Lincoln Highway in DeKalb or on the web at ecsdekalb.org.
And welcome into TD Ryan Unleashed News podcast number 31. Honored and privileged. I say that a lot, but I'm certainly honored and very privileged to have Kathy Dombeck with us today. Kathy has recently been honored as a 2025 Woman of Accomplishment by the DeKalb Chamber of Commerce. 30 years as a counselor, honored as the DeKalb County Teacher of the Year, serves as president of Kiwanis and Delta Kappa Gamma, leads programs for University of Illinois Extension, Hope Haven, Opportunity House, just to name a few. And here with us right now is the aforementioned Kathy Dombeck. Kathy, how you doing?
Thanks, I'm doing great. It's a gorgeous day, isn't it?
Isn't it a gorgeous day? And
Yes.
a gorgeous day, I've been looking forward to doing this because I met you, you and I were talking about it. I met you many years ago when you guys did you would tell us about, you had the Key kids out there camping out at Hopkins Park, and they spent the night. Tell us about that.
Right. I was the advisor for Sycamore High School Key Club for 19 years, and we started the homeless sleep out in DeKalb County area with DeKalb, Sycamore, Genoa, Kingston, all the students, and we would sleep at Hopkins Park overnight, collecting canned goods, gently used winter clothes, donations for homeless. And then we split that between the food pantries and Hope Haven and Safe Passage. And you were one of our very first people that came out.
Well, I remember you when they had the old shed, the old house
Yes,
there. At
the old shed, and kids would sleep in boxes. We'd get them from a lot of the different places around here, and they'd type them together. We had whole towns,
Yeah, so you
we had
made
fun.
you really wanted the kids to see what it was like to be homeless, so they had to go and get their own covering, their own boxes to sleep in for the night.
That's right. And what we started doing is having them collect donations too for sleeping out in boxes so that we'd make more people aware. And we've had a lot of kids say, that was my most fun Key Club thing. It was really eye-opening because I had no idea what it would be like. We slept in snowstorms, we slept in rainstorms. So it was very interesting, but they said I loved it because it made me aware.
Yeah, I was going to say, because they'll never be the same person
Right.
after that, will they?
They also had fun, but
Yeah. But that'll always sink
Yes.
in, and then whenever they see somebody on the street now, they'll think a little differently, won't
It
they?
makes a difference. It does.
We just had our friends from Hope Haven here for a news podcast last week, and we were talking about that how we kind of judge people because they're homeless, and once you find them out, we're all human beings underneath, right?
It's no fault of their own.
Right, exactly.
Yep.
So many stories,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of going back over here now. I was surprised when I saw that it says here that Kathy Dombeck, a proud native of DeKalb, because I've always associated you with Sycamore, and I know we always joke about the little adversity between DeKalb and Sycamore, but you grew up in DeKalb. Tell us about growing
I
up.
was born in DeKalb, raised in DeKalb, graduated from DeKalb High School, and we moved to Sycamore when actually, I have to take that back. I lived in Sycamore till I was 4, even though I was born in DeKalb.
Okay.
And but I went all through school in DeKalb, and then my husband and I moved to Sycamore probably shortly after our second daughter was born.
Okay.
And so all our kids went to Sycamore schools, and so both towns are great.
Now, you must have dipped your toe in the Kishwaukee River at some point. You know, that
Hey.
folklore where they...
I live right next to the Kishineau, so yeah.
Did you ever go away? Did you ever leave this area?
I did. When I first got out of college with my master's, I worked in Iowa for about a year and a half.
Okay.
So
So you've been out, okay.
I loved it, but it was one of those things where I came back.
I love. So tell us about growing up in DeKalb. What was that like? Was it idyllic?
It was wonderful. I lived out in the country. It's not country anymore. It's out near where Hy-Vee is now, down there. It was
Okay, yeah, but it was all fields,
down in
yeah,
that area.
yeah.
So I grew up down there, a small neighborhood. There were maybe 6 or 7 of us kids, and we did everything together. So it was a great.
Oh, see, I was going to ask
childhood.
if you felt isolated there, but you had your little pack
Not
there,
at all.
didn't you?
Yeah,
Okay.
we had our group. We were good.
Okay. So you get into high school, you go to DeKalb High School, and then it's off to, well, Kish was around, right? Did you think about Kish, or went right to?
Actually, when I was a senior in high school, my dad was transferred with DEKALB Ag Research, and they moved down to Illiopolis, a little town in the center of the state. So I ended up going to school in Springfield for a couple of years and then came back to Northern.
Is that right?
So I got my bachelor's and my master's from Northern.
Okay, very good. Yeah, we want to talk about your education a little bit later on, but tell us, is that where you met the husband? Is that where we met?
That is,
Jim?
we met in National Honor Society at Northern.
Yeah, a little
And
snooty
we were
group
just-
there, yeah.
We were just friends. And it was when he was in law school and I was in grad school when we started
Is that right?
dating. Yep. So,
And the rest is history. We'll talk
Yep,
about the
yep,
history a
yep,
little bit,
it
but
was, yep.
I'm really touched by this one. I dedicated more than 30 years serving as a high school counselor. And I remember my high school counselor was so beneficial to me because I had lost my father and I didn't know what I wanted to do. And it became more of a friend than a counselor. And what was it like for you doing it all those years?
I loved it. I would do it again. Working with the kids and helping them find what their potentials were. All of us have different dreams and goals, and helping them find out what theirs are and getting there and what they need in order to get there.
Now, did the administration want you to pigeonhole these kids and, follow this path or follow this path? Or how did you deal with when a kid wanted to do something off the grid, if you would?
They were supportive in us working with them, and I always tried to involve parents. We were dealing with the big things like that. Now, if a kid said no, that would be a different story, but we would work
Right.
on, well, what types of things are you willing to, and how are you going to get there, and who's going to support you to get there?
And what was your approach with the kids? So, my mom was taught third grade, and she always said she would be pardon the term, a hard ass in the first part of the year, and then could always lighten up later, but you can't do it in reverse order. Were you tough with the kids when you were counseling them, or to a little tough love?
It's different being a counselor than being in a classroom, because a lot of times you're dealing with kids one-on-one or in small groups. And stickers will get you far even with high school kids, I used to have lunch supervision at DEKALB High School for 10 years. And so we would eat in that 20 minutes in between the 3 lunches. But I would have a table of guys that would purposely clean up their table and others so they could get extra stickers.
Oh, is that right?
If it works, do it,
So, that was not a bad time supervising that?
No, it was interesting, but no.
Okay.
The kids are great. Seriously, kids are wonderful and maybe not always understood. And you might get 1 or 2 that do something that really, but all in all, kids are great.
Yeah, it's the majority, right? That always overrides.
Yep.
So I tell my wife about America all the time. The overriding Americans, we're going to get things
We're
straight.
going to make a positive difference.
Yes,
right?
we are. So imagine kids have come up to you after that and said, thank you for guiding me on that path. Have you had that happen where they come back and say, thank you, Kathy, for
Yeah.
Ms. Dombeck for directing me this way or that way?
Yeah, we do. Every so often you do get that, and it's neat. Or you see kids that have made it really big, and you're like, oh, I knew they could do it.
Yeah, we just had a young man would come back for the Sycamore Pumpkin Fest parade, right? And now he's a big shot out in Hollywood with recording music and stuff, and went right there to Sycamore High School. So you retired in 2017. Now let's go through some of these. The faculty advisor for the Key Club, we talked about that. Future Teachers of America. What is that now, Kat?
That is for students that thought they might like to go into education.
Okay.
And so I did that early on when I was teaching or school counselor in Shabana before it was Indian Creek.
Okay.
And then I also worked with DCP SAFE there and also in Sycamore.
Well, tell me about getting people to be teachers, because again, I come from a family of teachers, and I thought about it. My brother and my sister both taught as well. Mm-hmm. Is that nature versus nurture? You feel like because my parents were teachers, we became teachers? Because I see a lot of that where the parents taught as well.
Some yes, some no.
Okay.
And when I was working at Northern after I retired, I worked at Northern for 4 years, and I was in the Office of Educator Licensure and Preparation. Loved it, and I did a lot of outreach. So I did 4 or 5 different classes. Some of them were first thing in the morning, some were evenings surrounding high schools for kids that thought they wanted to go into education, and I would bring in guest speakers. So one week they might have somebody that was talking about being a social worker or being a school psychologist or, working with gymnastics, or anything dealing with sports and coaching and things like that.
Okay.
So, we would bring in all different people and they could ask questions and talk with them and find out things. So I think the most important thing is letting them know what it's about. And they might say, I love it, I want to do it, or, that's not really for me.
What about the money aspect? Because that was the thing I heard over and over again. Well, you're not going to make any money teaching. You're not going to make any money teaching. Maybe a little different now, but then.
But if you don't enjoy what you're doing, is the money really worth it?
There you go.
So, if you love what you're doing, it makes a difference.
That's a great
it's
answer.
Enough to make it's enough to put food on the table.
Yeah, I like that. And then, like you said, DCP SAFE stands for DeKalb County Partnership for a Safe, Active Family Environment. So is that still together now, or is it?
I believe they still do have it. I don't know if it's called the same, but
Okay.
it was all the surrounding schools in DeKalb County. And kids would meet once a month. And I know one of the big projects that we did working with everyone was putting together a big activity at the YMCA. And they volunteered to help us with that and things like that. But we held it, and all the high schoolers put it on for middle school kids.
Oh, is that right?
And it was a fun, sort of a mixer type of thing, but they got to do activities, swimming, basketball, just all kinds of games, and just have a fun evening.
And that dynamic with the older kids and the younger kids, boy, there's something magical happens there, because the older kids don't act the way they normally do, and the younger kids don't either. It's like some little bubble that they're in.
That mentoring is, they look up to them.
Uh-huh.
One of the things that I used to do is, through DCP SAFE, is take kids down to the elementary schools to read. And I would have them wear their uniforms, if they could, or
Oh, boy.
do something like that. And then they would read, and I tell you, they would come back and say, yeah, we were at McDonald's, or we were here or there, and these kids came up to us. I didn't recognize them at first, and then they, so it was a real positive. Then they would, say, oh yeah, I told them how great they were and that they keep working hard. And
That's great,
So-
boy. That's wonderful. Again, and so you were named DeKalb County Teacher of the Year. I don't have the year that was. Tell us about that. What was that? Obviously, that surprised you.
that was really special. Yes, it was through DeKalb County. Yvonne Johnson
Oh, Yvonne. Okay.
set that up, and they would recognize teachers that had what they felt gone above and beyond doing things.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was nominated and selected for that. It was
And why'd
just
you
a
go
real
above
honor.
and Why'd you go above and beyond? A lot of teachers just kind of, put my time in and then I'm done and hope Johnny's okay afterwards. But
It's what it's all about.
and you never lost it through the years.
Nope.
And never a desire to I've had enough of this. And
Some nights I would like to go to bed early, but but no, it's our kids are worth it.
now you're a member of the Kiwanis International. Tell us
Yes.
about that. I think you were president at one point as well. Tell us about the Kiwanis and the wonderful work that they do.
Kiwanis is all about serving the children of the world. So it's making a difference. And I got involved because I was Key Club advisor. And
Oh, so that was after you. Okay, after you were Key
yes,
Club.
they wanted me to join them, but I had a class on Tuesday nights when they met. And I was like, no, I'm not going to join and not be
Right,
going.
there, yeah.
So I ended up joining once I retired from teaching. But it is really getting out there and doing things for the kids.
Mm-hmm.
We do things internationally. We do things nationally. We do things locally. So our club's been very involved doing things with the Park District. Right now, one of our big projects that we have going is putting together a music playground. And so we received a grant to help pay for a portion of that.
What does that
And will be
consist
in
of?
Sycamore. It's going to have actual musical instruments out there that kids can, that are made for the weather.
Okay.
So it will be exciting. We helped with the splash pad in Sycamore, and we always sponsor the junior marshals for the pumpkin parade.
Okay.
So
That's
just
great.
getting in there
And
doing different
becoming
things.
president, what did you want to do that? Were you kind of forced into becoming president? Because I know a lot of these clubs, it's your turn,
It was one of those things. I was happy to serve, but yes, it was a good year.
Okay. We're talking to Kathy Dombeck, recently named the 2025 Woman of Accomplishment by the DeKalb Chamber of Commerce. Now, I see here that you were also the Delta Kappa Gamma, a professional women's teaching organization. Tell us about that.
Right. And that is an organization, it's an international organization. I am in the chapter here in Northern Illinois, DeKalb County, Lee County area.
Okay.
We really work on promoting and serving youth that are looking at going into education. We raise money for a scholarship that goes to a junior female attending Northern Illinois University, majoring in education.
Okay.
So that's our big thing that we do. But we bring in guest speakers all the time and just look at what's happening, what the trends are, what's going on.
And is there more money, do you think, right now available for students? I remember I got a Pell Grant back in the late 80s there, but I don't know how hard it is to apply for financial aid now.
Pell Grants and things like that are different than when you and I went to school.
Okay.
They do have some money, but a lot of it would be more from organizations and agencies,
Okay.
things like that.
Very good. Now, also, I see here that you were, for 15 years, you were, am I saying right, a Eucharistic minister and
Correct.
religious education teacher. Now, I was an altar boy back in the day. My grandmother volunteered me for 6 o'clock mass. I said much to it. So I figured I made up a lot of, because I went to mass every week, every day when I was young as an altar boy. But I kind of fell away from the church, but I still consider myself a good Christian. I just don't go to church every Sunday. But tell us about this. Now, so you were a Eucharistic minister, and I understand Jim was as well, right?
Jim was a deacon in the
Oh, Jim was a
Catholic
deacon.
Church.
Okay,
Yep.
that's okay.
So he actually went through, he actually did get a second master's after he already had his Juris Doctorate in theology.
Oh, really?
So
Okay.
Yes, he did a lot for the bishop out of the Rockford Diocese and served at Christ the Teacher in DEKALB.
You know,
every weekend.
I know, I think the bishop you're talking about, because when I was back at the radio station, we used to run a commercial for them back in
Yeah.
the day, and he just talked very honestly about religion and maybe coming back to the church, and
Mm-hmm.
I just love the way they did that. It was kind of a casual, we're all friends, why don't you come on back to the church?
Check it out, right.
Well, what made you want to take that extra step from just going to church to actually being a Eucharistic minister? And that means you're allowed to give the communion, right?
Communion, correct. Well, when our oldest daughter was in kindergarten, they were needing assistance to help with the Sunday school or religious ed classes. And so afterwards, I said, I'm willing to help. I know this lady that's doing 7th grade. I'd be happy to be her assistant. And then she moved, and so but I loved it. And we kind of changed things around. I ended up getting somebody else, Bertie Welsh, who's very popular in the area.
Oh, sure, I know, Bert, yeah.
Yes, and I asked her if she would be my assistant, and so the two of us co-taught 7th grade for quite a while together, and we gave them homework, but the homework.
Well, I was going to ask you what class consists of, because, I was a Catholic, I went to a Catholic school, so I didn't have religious classes, but my grandkids are both going right now, and I wonder what they're teaching them. I haven't had a chance to talk to them about that.
Well, each church will come up with their curriculum that they're going to use, and we would use that, but then we worked in community service.
Okay.
We decided 7th grade, that's when they're starting to become a little more independent. Let's look at what's something you can do for someone else. So their homework every week was, what did you do? It might be inviting somebody that's sitting by themselves at lunch to come and sit at your table, or helping somebody if they drop their book, whatever it would happen to be. And so that was their homework. And we always did our opening prayer as the gospel, so that when they would go to church right after Sunday school, they would go, oh yeah, that's what they're talking about. So that was one of the things that we did. And they're still using the community service stuff in the classes at Newman now.
Oh, what a great thing there.
Yeah.
But a lot of parable, I always love the parables, with the little stories, with the and the little twist at the end. I always love that.
Yeah.
Now, also, your life has just been so amazing, Kathy. And when many of us say we don't have time to do this and don't have time to do that, you will find time. You're an extension program coordinator at the University of Illinois. I want to talk about that separately. But you also created 4-H programs for developmental challenge individuals and helped launch a hometown leaders program. Tell us about creating the 4-H programs for developmental challenge individuals, because why should they be left out, right?
That's right. What was actually my very first week of working with Extension, I happened to be reading through the book, seeing kind of what my job was going to entail. And it said, you can open up or you can hold adult special needs 4-H clubs. And I go, that's what I want to do.
Wow.
And so I went to my supervisor and I said, this is what I'd like to do, and this is what I think we can accomplish by doing it. And she goes, go for it. So I met with coordinators over at Opportunity House, and they're like, we love it. So we met again.
So everybody loved the idea.
And two of the workers said we would be leaders. So they've gone through the leader training. They have registered the whole bit. And we're actually in our 4th year now.
Is that right?
And we actually do a special 4-H project show where the group do projects. We do them a little differently in that we do all of them as a group, pretty much. And I get judges. So I'll have 7 or 8 judges, and they'll meet with the judges to go over what they did for the projects, how they made them, what they might do differently. And then we hold an actual open house for them, for parents to come and friends to come.
Oh, that's great.
And in the one in DEKALB at Opportunity House, we are sponsored through Sycamore Kiwanis.
Okay.
And the very first year, they actually held a special dinner for their open house and invited families and, had all their stuff on display.
Do you know, was that the first in the country as far as you know, or first in Illinois as far as you know?
As
I mean,
far
you
as
said it was in the book, but
As far as I know, it's
You're the first one to
around
take it
me.
on, yeah.
Yes. Well, I've had several people when we go to state conferences ask, "Now, how did you do that? Could I meet with you?"
I bet.
So I've met with several people to talk about it, and there are, I think, program offerings other places, but I don't know that it's set up quite like that.
Okay, but you kept it going, though. That's it.
And I have 3 counties that I work through. I work in DeKalb, Boone, and Ogle counties.
Okay.
So we started another program in Ogle County with a very similar facility. It's Village of Progress, and they're wonderful. And then we started it through the Park District in Belvedere,
Okay.
and we have 2 programs there.
Wow, that's unbelievable, Kat. That's wonderful. Just spreading the goodness like that. Now, the Homegrown Leaders Program, Hometown Leaders Program, engages high school and college students in local government and inspire the next generations of civic leaders. We just had Matt Duffy here from the DeKalb Chamber of Commerce, and they held a class to teach people how to run for office, what do you need to do, fill out the paperwork,
Yeah.
or if you want to sit on a board. But you had this idea way back when people were in high school.
Mike Delaney, who's the Community Economic Development Coordinator, and I have been working, and we put together a program probably 3 years ago was our first. And we did this, the first one we did was in Boone County, where we got high school students and a couple of college students. We held a program where they learned more about local government, county government. And then the second was attending a meeting and finding out a little bit more, and they were able to ask questions and do some things. And then the third was a day of tours on what types of careers, what you might major in, all the different things. We went to the coroner's office, we went
wow.
everywhere. And then we held it last year in DeKalb County, and big success. We've got one going on right now. We're in the middle of it. In fact, next week I have a meeting with the county boards. We'll be meeting with the students in Oregon.
Okay.
So
That's great. Again, because if they wanted something changed, run for office and make the change.
That's
You're
right.
teaching them that. That's great. So now we're talking about your 4-H time. Catherine Dombeck, this is a little thing they had, a 4-H program coordinator with the University of Illinois Extension, serving Boone and DeKalb and Ogle counties with a strong emphasis on 4-H development. Catherine plays a pivotal role in delivering educational programs to schools. Now, let's stop right there. So how do you do that? Do you go out to schools and?
I do. In fact, yesterday I was at DeKalb High School. We were doing a program on, basically on careers. We were doing the interviewing process. It's called Work Ready. It's a curriculum out of Purdue University.
And it's really important not to interrupt you because the kids now, they're on their phones all the time. They have very little, they're not real good with the social skills. Because I noticed that when I was at the radio station, I'd have the kids come in and they wouldn't know whether to shake hands or not. And they would never make eye contact when I was talking to them. But those are the kind of things you work with, right?
Yes. In fact, I've also been doing that with Project Search out of Ramp. It's
Oh,
our
okay.
18 to 22-year-old students that have graduated they've completed high school, and now they're going through the program on learning about careers. And Northwestern has a phenomenal program, this Project Search. They actually work with Northwestern, and they have internships, and they'll rotate 4 times a year, 3 or 4
wow.
times a year, where they're in different sections with different supervisors learning, and all of them are getting hired. So I've been going there for the last couple of years doing several programs throughout the semester for them.
But the key words there at the end was they're getting hired. That's
Yes,
great to
they
hear.
are.
That is
Yeah.
music to the ears right there. So again, the home delivering education to schools, introducing 4-H to new audiences, including the Hispanic community. Now we're going to have I don't know if you know Veronica Garcia Martinez. She's running for state representative, speaking of
Right.
running for office, and we had her talking about it. And I always said, like many here people say, why can't the kids just learn in English? And then she told me, which I didn't realize, that over 60% of people in the world speak more than one language. And we in America are the exception to the rule. And I failed Spanish in high school. But she explained to me the advantages of learning both languages as a kid. And so suddenly to me, I look at, dual language is a whole different way than I did before.
And the important part there is, in fact, most of our Hispanic 4-Hers do speak English very well. They're speaking it in class, in school, things like that. But a lot of the parents don't.
Yeah, a lot of time they interpret for their parents, don't they?
And right. And so it is wonderful having this, just the community and the culture. And we have a mixture of the Hispanic as well as English-speaking students in that club. But everybody is accepted, and they've adopted me. I love them.
That's
They
wonderful.
take very good care of me.
We talked about the 4-H project days because there's a great picture of you. I wanted to ask you about your major, the Family and Consumer Science from Northern Illinois University, What is that, Family and Consumer Science?
It's the old home economics.
Oh, I didn't see. I thought it was
So,
home ec. Okay.
yep,
It's kind of fancied it up a little bit
Right.
there.
Yep.
Now, what made you want to go that route? And why get your master? You got your master's in that, right? What made you want to do that?
Well, I actually went in looking at design and loved it, but then decided education was more. I loved the kids and things like that. I worked as an RA in the residence halls, and I loved it. And that sort of changed my direction. And so I
Okay.
started looking at the counseling. And Northern paid me to go on. I was working in the residence halls, so I had free room and board. They offered me the advisor position in the halls, so I would continue to keep the free room board, free tuition, and a little stipend, and I'm having fun. And then my advisor, who was phenomenal, worked out a program for me because she knew I loved the counseling part, and all my electives were the counseling department. So I actually got a basically double major
yeah.
too. And I never taught family consumer science. I student taught in that area, but I did my internship in counseling and went into that.
Okay. And what kind of an RA? We were deciding whether you're going to be a hard ass or not. Because I had two different RAs. One, my freshman year, we walked all over this guy. And then the second guy, he wasn't taking any. He would nail us for every little thing. So what were you like as a...
I was probably in the middle. No,
Okay.
I
Low
was friends
tolerance.
with people on the floor, and it would be, okay, this isn't acceptable, and here's where we are, and this is the situation if.
Okay.
But no,
Right.
I really didn't have trouble with kids. They were really good.
I knew you'd be
So-
reasonable. That's great. So I had this article from the Chronicle. DeKalb County Youth showcases a year-long discovery at the 4-H Day. And then there's a great picture of you, Kathy, checking out the projects there. Kathy
okay.
Dombeck, 4-H program coordinator, University of Illinois, checks out some of the many projects on display at the 4-H General Project Show. And then they quote you as saying, "I love the fact that it gives the youth an opportunity to learn service leadership. They're learning to get involved, and they're learning how to be a positive leader. I think it's great." So tell us about this. So, because I've been witness to this, and I love when the kids explain their projects.
Sure.
Because you can tell they did it all themselves.
There are actually over 170 project areas that kids can choose from. Anything from
170, wow.
Yeah, anything from robotics, engineering, animal science, photography, arts, cooking. I mean, if you're interested, you can find something. And there are different leadership programs and government, community programs, things. So students are able to pick areas that they're interested in, find out more about it. They can work, normally they'll work with their parents on that, but if they need help on it, they can get help in it. But there's so many places that you can get information. And the books give you ideas of what types of things you should be looking at and where you might be able to find things. And so as they're explaining to the judges what they did and how they did it, even if it didn't turn out exactly like they wanted, if they can talk with the judges and show that they've learned things, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
What did you learn and how would you do it differently? Or what would you do the same? How could you share that with someone else? And it helps them gain that confidence to continue on and to explore and find those things that are important to them.
I want to think if you have an anecdote or a story about the project show, but I wanted to report out Harlan Marshall, who was 9 years old at the time of the show, joined in the fun of the day by building his own air pump rocket-style projectile. He was able to send a projectile higher than the roof of the DeKalb County Farm Bureau, and this is quoting Harlan now. "It was very frustrating at first because you had to get it tight to those little pipes so you could put the cork in it," he said. "At first it didn't go very far, about 2 feet, but then I beat the record at how far it went." So he learned the stick-to-itiveness, and he
Right.
learned that he made the mistake the first time, and let's switch it and make it work better the
Right.
next time. I mean, talk about a great lesson right here.
Yeah.
And I did the rocket launching, but do you have any little anecdote, little something that happened with maybe the rocket launch or one of the other projects there? I know it's hard to put people on the spot
Okay,
like
I'm
that.
trying to think here on some of these. It's been fun with some of the little kids. We work with 5 to 7-year-olds, which are clover buds.
Okay.
And they usually do their projects as a whole group. And I was actually able to judge the clover buds this year. It was a lot of fun. And hearing them say, "Oh, you don't put the water in first because this will happen." And they said, so when do you put it in? Well, and then somebody else will come in and bring. So listening to the way that they learn by experience, by doing and finding out, they learn more by that than anything else. They have to be in there and be involved. And
You
that's
do.
what's fun.
Because I would be the kid that always hung back and I learned nothing at all. So that's great to know that. Well, let's talk about your life with your wonderful husband. Of course, unfortunately, we lost Jim back in August of last year. You know, I've been telling people we've been doing a weekly news podcast now, and at the radio station, we used to charge people to read the obituaries. And so I've been doing the obituaries on the news, on our weekly news column, and I'm amazed when you read 2 or 3 paragraphs of what people did in their lives. For you, for instance, Kathy, with all you've accomplished. And I look at Jim's here, and it says, volunteer at the Opportunity House, Sycamore Pumpkin Fest Committee, Three Fires Boy Scout Council, Kishwaukee Habitat for Humanity, St. Vincent's de Paul Society, plus several others. And plus he was worked with the Sycamore Community School District, president from 97 to 99. So again, both of you somehow find time to do all this stuff. Were you able to do stuff together with your husband, Jim, or
We did. We got to see each other every once in a while. Maybe that way makes things work better. I don't know. No, yeah.
And education obviously near and dear to both of you.
Yes. Yeah, he served on Sycamore School Board for 20-some years, 27 years, I think it was, and was president all but maybe 2, the first 2.
Marvin Barnes, the alderman from Sycamore, told us a great story when he was Sycamore School Board president. Some man had called him like at 11:30 at midnight and started berating him about something with his son. And he goes, I pay your salary. And then Marvin calmly said, no, sir, I do not get this. Is not a paid position. And he said the guy completely changed his tone and everything. So again, this is a volunteer. So Jim volunteered all that time doing that.
And the nice thing was, in a lot of these things that he had volunteered in as an attorney, he couldn't do their legal stuff for them based on his, his job and everything, but he was able to give them advice and was very, very helpful and would draw up the different things to make different organizations nonprofit, like through Stagecoach and Pumpkin Fest.
And Pumpkin Fest, he was the legal counsel for Pumpkin Fest, right?
So he would do a lot of the things and help them out with that, which saved a lot for the.
I bet. Oh my gosh,
nonprofit groups.
that's one. And you mentioned that he was a permanent deacon for the Roman Catholic Diocese. So did he say mass, or what did it actually? What did it entail? He did.
Right. He could marry people. He could. He just could not bless the bride. I mean, he couldn't.
The final union there?
Yeah, that, but he could do basically the other stuff.
Okay, so did you attend his masses then when it was?
Well, he would help in masses, so there'd be a priest there as well.
Okay, very good.
So, but yes.
And I didn't know he was a rock and roller either. This is, again, stuff you find out. The passion for rock and Southern rock. The band, Van Morrison, I know all these. Little Feat, Grateful Dead. My sister's a Deadhead. Don't even get me started. But I found this very interesting. He said recently he had treated himself to a new stereo system. Now, we had Alderman Mike Verbeek from DEKALB in here. We were talking about his childhood in DEKALB, and he was delivering newspapers to raise money to buy his own stereo system. He wanted to have the state-of-the-art stereo system. And here, Jim did the same thing, but later in his life. So tell us about him buying that stereo. But that meant a lot to him.
There's still bits and pieces that are still in the boxes that haven't been opened. I have no idea how to use it. So I have to get somebody to teach me here. But yes, he was concert committee chair for Northern.
Oh, really? Okay, I didn't know that.
And so he brought in some interesting bands. I don't even know all the bands he brought in.
And he announced for the parade, right? I didn't know that. See, I always called the parade on the radio. I never knew that Jim was calling the parade for 20 years he did that, right? Mm-hmm. So he was by the big grandstand? Is that where he would do that?
He would be in that, what is it, that popcorn
Okay, the little box there? Yeah.
That little box that they put right out by the popcorn stand. And yes. And
is that where he did it from?
And our middle daughter would be there with him, and she'd be watching to make sure that his sheet was right and that the parade was in the same order that they gave him.
That's wonderful.
So,
That's
yes.
great. And what did I want to mention then? Also, I love this quote. Music was more than the music. It was a steadfast companion that brought vibrancy and meaning to his life. So music really meant a lot to Jim, didn't it?
It did. Yeah. You could tell if you ever came by when he would be mowing, because we have 5.5 acres, and he would have the headphones on and he'd be singing at the top of his lungs. He had no idea, but anybody going by could hear him singing it.
And that's like when you're in the car and you go underneath the bridge and all of a sudden it's just your voice you're hearing. That's a little scary. So tell us about your lovely family. Let's start with Elizabeth, right? Elizabeth, the oldest there. Tell us about Elizabeth.
Graduated from Northern, all of us graduated from NIU, to tell you the truth. So she graduated from Sycamore High School, played tennis at Sycamore, and then went to Northern in business administration. She's married now, has 4 kids. They live in Oklahoma.
Yeah, Oklahoma.
Oklahoma, yes.
Now, why'd they settle there? Was he from there originally?
No, he's from Southern Illinois. They met actually through Key Club, believe it or not.
Oh, my.
He was the governor the year she was a lieutenant governor for Illinois Eastern Iowa. And then the following year, she was the governor of Illinois Eastern Iowa Key Club, and he was on the international board and on her board.
Okay.
So,
And how do they like life in Oklahoma?
well, it's Oklahoma.
Okay.
Yes. So, yes.
That's great. So that's Greg is the husband, right? And then
Correct.
and then the 4 grandkids are all with them.
All with them. Yeah.
Okay.
The twins will turn 9 in November.
So Beck, Rowan, Oaks, and Hollis. I love
Right.
it.
And then Oaks is 6 and Hollis is 4.
Now tell us about those names. That's really neat.
She said, Mom, you gave us all really common names. It's Elizabeth, Kristen, and Joe. There's a dime a dozen. We wanted something that not everyone was going to have the same name.
Okay.
And she said, Beck, I mean, our last name was Dombeck, so it's right there.
There you
It's
go.
Okay. And then Oaks, Dombeck is little oak in Polish.
Is it really? Okay.
Yes. And so she said, Mom, it fits right in. I said, okay, you got me there. You got me.
All right. How about Hollis? Explain Hollis now.
They liked it.
Right. That's wonderful. And then we have the other daughter, Kristen, now, right?
Yes. And Kristen is married and lives in Green Bay.
In Wisconsin, yeah.
She's still a Bears fan. Don't worry, she's not a Packers fan.
I know that happens sometimes. So yeah, it's good.
And she teaches Spanish. And this year she's very excited. She's actually was asked to teach the Spanish 5 class or the college Spanish through University of Wisconsin at the high school. So she starts her morning teaching 7th grade Spanish 1 and ends the day teaching Spanish 5.
Oh my gosh, is that right? Boy, here we are. We're talking about the dual languages again. There it is again. And obviously, people going there, and there are all kinds of jobs you can do with that, can't you?
So she loves it. So she's the only one that followed with education, teaching,
Okay,
but she loves it.
that's great. And then Joe, we have Joe, right?
And Joe lives in DeKalb.
Joe and Desiree,
And
right?
his wife, right. So they live here right in town, so they always come out and help. So sometimes I'll be out there mowing and he'll see me out there mowing, so he'll grab the other tractor and we'll do dual mowing.
Okay, and what does Joe do? What is he doing?
He works for Softwater City
Okay,
and Ray Puentes.
and doesn't plan to move? Because he must have dipped his toe in the Kishwaukee River then.
Well, yeah, he grew up right next to the Kishwaukee River.
That's great. That's wonderful. Well, this has been so wonderful. I wanted to point out this because I was researching you guys and I saw the Sycamore Pumpkin Festival Committee would like to express sincere condolences to the family of former Pumpkin Festival member Jim Dombeck, who passed away on August 12th. Jim was legal advisor for the Sycamore Pumpkin Festival and a parade announcer for more than 20 years. And I didn't know he was doing both dual duties for that as well. So again, he will be sorely missed. And finally, I want to mention this is the Dombeck Family Community Service Scholarship Fund. Tell us about that. You're quoted here. Sycamore High School runs through the veins of the Dombeck family. Jim was deeply committed to community service and believed in instilling the values at a young age. The scholarship criteria reflects a commitment. It's not about GPA. It's about integrity, honesty, character, and service to community. So tell us about that. Who's going to get this scholarship?
Well, actually, we raised enough money through it that we were able to give it out this past year. And it goes to a student. It's based, like it says, on community service, so a 2.75 or higher grade point average.
Okay.
But somebody that has been in there doing the community service. And community service was very important to our whole family. So having somebody that can emulate that part and continue going with it. And I think that's what is saving our world.
I do too. Again, because you got to have every time we worry about you meet a young person, it changes your way of thinking about how the world might turn out. Well, you always change your way of thinking there, Kathy. Now, you're never going to retire because I misnamed the list of things that you're still doing. But are you slowing down? You taking a little easier now? What's life for you these days?
I'm pretty busy with work because I am working through University of Illinois Extension. So I'll be leaving here and going right back to work. I said, I'll be gone for just a little while. I'm taking a little longer. So I'm still doing programs and different activities and things. We did Nicole is phenomenal. She's our
Girl singer over there at the 4-H, yeah?
Nicole. And she had the Halloween party last night for 4-Hers and their families, and there were over 200 people there. So I'm in the kitchen trying to get everything together. So I'm like, here's another hot dog. Wait, the hot dogs aren't done yet. No, there's meatballs still here, But yes, so we had families go through, and they just had a blast. So, there's things to be done.
And there's time for you to get to Oklahoma and Wisconsin?
Not enough. I will.
Okay.
I will. I'm going over Christmas, so I'll.
Oh, good. And finally, before we let you go, a lot of people, you've touched a lot of lives here in Sycamore and DeKalb, and actually the whole DeKalb County area. And I know you talked to a lot of people. What would you like to say? I know a lot of people are fortunately listening to the show. And what would you like to say to Kathy Dombeck? What would you like to say after all the support you've gotten from them through the years, especially after you lost Jim.
You know, this is such a wonderful community. And I think that it's the people that make it that way. So we are very, very fortunate. Thank you.
All right, very good. That's a
Yeah.
perfect. I knew Kathy would be short and succinct. We love you, Kathy, and thank you so much. Kathy Dombeck has been our guest here. A big thanks to our sponsors. Big thanks to my nephew, Ethan Davis, for getting us on the air with this, because I don't know how to push the buttons or hit the bells or anything like that. But that's TD Ryan Unleashed, podcast number 31.
TD Ryan Unleashed is brought to you by Scott Zyman, your State Farm insurance agent. Scott can help you save money bundling your home and auto insurance. Call 815-748-3101 or stop by at 2587 Sycamore Road, Suite D in DeKalb. Like a good neighbor, Scott Zyman and State Farm are there. Pizza Villa, pizza, pasta, sandwiches, and more at 824 West Lincoln Highway in DeKalb. For delivery or pickup, call 815-758-8116 or go to pizzavilla.com. My Insurance Guys in Sycamore, family owned, local, reliable. My Insurance Guys cover Medicare to auto and everything in between. Call us in Sycamore at 815-899-0950. My Insurance Guy, business, auto, home, life, and health at myinsurancegyguy.com. And Elder Care Services of DeKalb County, safe, secure, and supported, helping you stay at home where you want to be. Call 815-758-6550 or stop in at 1701 East Lincoln Highway in DeKalb or on the web at ecsdekalb.org.
Also brought to you by Blue Silo Orchard. Blue Silo Orchard would like to invite you to their orchard at 19387 Tower Road in Rochelle. You can find us on Facebook at Blue Silo Orchard for up-to-date hours. We now have a variety of apples and pears and along with pumpkins and even some sunflowers left. You can find us on Facebook at bluesiloorchard.com. That's bluesiloorchard.com.